Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hammer Podcast. Today is December 1st, 2022. Today we're talking with Charles. And of course, we have the infamous James Griffey with us today to sit in. I know he's out. He's back there somewhere, mister. Yeah, he's back there somewhere. So this is a take two. I'm not even going to get into why. So, Charles, let us know when did you go to Agape? What years?
I went there for 8 months. I went there at the end of December 2014 December 2015, and I left June 2016.
2016.
Wow.
So I
Okay,
had a
everybody, hold on a second. Everybody's echoing here. Everybody's, oh, jeez.
I'm not hearing you echo.
Echoing. I am. Hold on. Easily fixable. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. So I was there for 8 months. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Like I said, for December 2015, right before Christmas, to the second or third week, I believe, of June 2016. I was basically a pretty quiet student there, but I did see a lot of things at the school that I'll get into, and I'll talk about my experience with it, everything from beginning to end, as chronologically and as best to detail as I can remember. I'll be trying to do it within a 5-minute segment, sometimes in between each subject that I have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off here with my basically my transportation from my house to the school. So basically, one night, probably December 22nd or 23rd of 2015, I was asleep on my couch, and I woke up to my mother and two unknown adult males, probably between the ages of late 30s to early 50s, I'm guessing. And they woke me up from my sleep and said, we're here to take you to a boarding school, basically. And I was like, okay, you know. The reason why I was so nonchalant about it is because I had talked to my mother about it before. My father had just recently passed away a couple months prior in 2014 to stage 4 cancer, and I was going down a rough road. Wasn't really right in any way, but I basically told my mom one day, hey, just send me off to boarding school and let's see what happens, And
Told that?
yeah, I did.
Oh wow, okay, that's a bit different.
I know it's a little bit different, but I was recollecting on it, like I said.
Yeah.
And some details changed about it that I had previously forgotten about.
Oh no, and I just mean in general, like most kids, they're not saying, "Hey, send me to boarding school to see if Most kids are like, type of thing. So, did you and your mom talk about the boarding school before? And
not really in like a serious discussion type way. It was more of like a nonchalant, flippant type way. Like, oh, just I was being bitter type thing, but I didn't know who was actually going to happen. So I kind of was in a daze and, just kind of accepted it at that point. But I kind of knew like this is a little weird. And, we had talked about it, I guess, previously, flippant like arguments. So I was like, whatever.
Interesting. So, yeah. Okay.
I basically got into this blue Toyota Corolla with these two unknown men and rode in the back seat at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, all the way down to Stockton, Missouri,
Yeah.
To Agape boarding school, and it was I was like so tired and just like kind of like still out of it. And we stopped for at a gas station a couple times, and I was probably 15 at the time, and these guys offered me like a cigarette to smoke. And I could just remember him saying, this is going to be the last cigarette you smoke in a while, so if you want to smoke it, go ahead. And I was just Like, no thanks, dude. I don't smoke.
Do you remember those guys at all? Like, were they staff at the? Did they end up being staff at the school at all, or were they just two random dudes?
As far as I know, I never saw them around the school, but from what I had heard from other students previously that I have talked to now, they were transporters for the school. So they were staff there, I think, but I do believe they were friends of a staff member named Julio Sandoval. So
interesting. So they actually, we know Julio or Sandoval. I don't know what.
Oh yeah.
Whatever anyone. I mean, his name's all in the news, but that's interesting. They must have worked for his company. But that's interesting that because he has his own had his own transport company. But that's interesting that they would be like, hey man, or do you want a cigarette? Because the last one you're going to smoke for a while.
Yeah, it was really weird. Very weird experience. But anyway, we pulled up to the school and I got orientated, I guess. We parked in the parking lot, drove up the little hill past the gates, and I didn't have any of my stuff at the time, didn't know, where it was or anything. I was just there in my clothes. And Julio greeted me at the door. It was probably at 5:36 a.m., crack of dawn, and was, my name is Julio. Welcome, this is Agape boarding school. He was being real stiff and stern. And he was like, we're not going to have time to orientate you right now because we're having this big Christmas feast for the families of Agape and the staff members. So what you're going to do is you're going to get sent down, you're going to get changed into your clothes, and you're going to sit down with the rest of the boys at this Christmas dinner. So I was like, okay, whatever. Anyway, that goes on. Christmas breakfast passes or whatever. Then I get orientated, and basically, for those of you who don't know, they basically shave your head completely bald. That was my timer for the 5 minutes. Sorry. They shave your head completely bald to try and break your spirit or whatever, their sick, twisted way of doing it. And, get you into some Bob Barker slides, and then you go off to your guide or whatever. So for the first couple of weeks, that's what I was. I was an orange shirt. I, sat there, did what I was told, did what my guide told me to do. But I want to, reorient and tape back to the Christmas thing because this is a weird thing that happened there. So during that Christmas event, not the Christmas breakfast, there was a staff member there by the name of Scott. And Scott, I think, was dressed up as Santa Claus. And it was really weird because I didn't have any Christmas gifts to open. I just got sent here, as kind of a punishment thing. And I wasn't too happy about it at all. Like, I was just sitting there minding my own business, and they were taking pictures of kids and, trying to put on this propaganda show that say that the school's, it's great. We're having this Christmas party. Look at all these gifts and shoes and board games and whatever these kids are getting. And I didn't have any. So what they did, and I remember now, talking to a buddy that I went there with previously, is that I was sitting next to him and they gave me a gift and they told me to open it. And I was like, I don't want this gift. You know what I mean? I'm pissed off. I'm not at home for Christmas. I'm in this weird ass boarding school. I didn't say anything verbally, but I was just like, no, I don't want this. And he came up to my ear before he took the picture and he was like, listen, just shut up and smile and look good for the photo. Take the photo or whatever,
Weird.
And, that was my first indication, seriously, of what was going to be going on at this place because, intuition and instinct kind of ticked in there a little bit. And I was like, okay, whatever you say. So I shut up and I took the photo, and I could still find the photo on this dude's Flickr.
It's a Flickr. Yeah, I literally actually am pulling it up right now. It's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to look maybe later. So I'm curious to see which one's you. But yeah, he still has, which I'm shocked. He still has all the photos. The Scott guy still has all these photos of when he worked at Agape doing photos.
Yeah, I guess it was like a marketing or a PR thing for the school, I guess. I mean, I think I could tell you what page I'm on. I'm like on 4 or 3, and I'm in like an orange shirt sitting next to the other student that I talked to about it,
That's
just to
so
recollect
crazy.
the event. But that was like my first really weird indication of what was going on at this place. So
Yeah.
then, for orientation as well, you get sent to this punishment regiment of students called Browntown. And Browntown is basically a military style drill for
Yeah.
the entire time that is deemed necessary by the staff members. It's completely random, and it's however your favorite to the staff members, however bad your act was, that's your set time. But for orientation, everybody does it. So I was doing it. So we wake up before everybody else in these dorms that I'll get into later. We get lined up in a line with our Bob Barker slides and everything else. We go downstairs, get changed. Still wearing the Bob Barker slides, by the way, to go work out, which is fucking insane because
So difficult, right?
it's insane. I mean, and we go downstairs and we get line up against the wall of the weight room that they had there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out what was going on, but basically Julio came up to me and basically was telling the students, do you have any questions? Well, I'm brand new, so I raise my hand and I go, what are we doing? And he goes, you're going to shut up against the wall, you're going to be quiet, and you're going to watch me work out before we do this thing. So for a good 20 to 25 minutes, all of the Browntown students had their hands up against the wall, handcuff style. We were told to sit there and be quiet and just watch this dude work out. And that is exactly what we did before we worked out.
So weird.
Very, very strange, I guess, intimidation tactic, you want to call it that. That's the best way I could describe it. But yeah, we watched this 5'4", roided out Mexican dude just get his pump on.
Roided out Mexican.
I mean, he had to have been. He was just the age he was at and the shit he was eating at that school. There's just no other way. I mean, I work out and I used to work out a lot and I kind of know what goes into it, and it takes a lot, and it definitely took a lot more than what this guy was doing. But anyway,
So
we go to the gym, and the gym is this basketball court with really shitty benches that are tailored with carpet, just green carpet. And we basically sit down, we get stood back up, like quickly, shut up, like attention grabber type thing. And he goes, we're going to be doing suicides or ladders, they call it. And that's basically where you go to one point of a gym, run back, another point of a gym, run back, another point of a gym, run back, and that was it. So we're doing this, and this other kid who I can't remember his name, but he was definitely of like African descent. Like he's an immigrant from Africa. He's got a real thick accent, doesn't speak much English. He always says like dude, bro type thing, because that's just the words he uses with people there.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't doing it. I mean, everybody else was doing it. And he was just kind of, walking, doing the motions with his hands in his pocket type thing, like just refusing to do it.
Yeah.
So he tells everybody to stop, line back up at the side, and he pulls this kid aside for, 20 minutes or whatever. And then it was weird. He told us to pull back up to the side. He grabbed this kid and then told us to continue to work out. So we were like, okay, like, what the hell's going on? We were all looking at each other real weird, because I guess the kids that have been there before had never like had this happen to them either. Like usually when you're in Browntown, and I've had more experiences in Browntown, I'll get to that later, but you just work out. I mean, you just go. So he pulled this kid aside and took him back into the gym, and for like 20 minutes, I don't know what happened in there, but we didn't do anything. We acted like we were working out. He shut the door, and we stood there in the gym, and we were basically lined up at the starting point. So when he came back, we looked like we were working out. You know what I mean? He comes back, and this kid, whatever he did to him in this room, in this gym, he just put the fear of God into this kid. I don't know what he did. I don't know if he slammed him or did the stupid pressure point things that they do there, restrained him, tossed him around, whatever. But this kid, like, he came back and we started working out again, and he just like looked at the gym floor, cold blank stare, and just didn't say a word. So that was just real weird. Like I mean, this kid was abstinent, wasn't doing anything, and then just came out and just was just doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and just doing it harder than all of us. And like, we were doing it half-assed. We were sliding on the gym floor with these cheap slides, and this kid was stomping his feet, really trying to do it. Wow. So whatever that man did to that kid, God knows, he did something terrible to him. But
jeez.
Probably told him he was going to hell or something if he didn't exercise. I don't know.
No, probably
I don't know. I don't know if he did his stupid pressure. I'm guessing he did like a pressure point thing on him, like something with the nerves, or tossed him around a bit, because I mean, but anyway.
Yeah.
That was my Browntown thing, and then we're going to get into the Christmas feast thing now, where they had not the gift opening for the families, but like it's kind of that too in a way, where you can open up gifts that the family didn't mail in, but they gave to you in person, where he was also taking those photos that are on Flickr too with some of the students. And we were in Browntown at the time too. So they had cooked this like big feast of like normal food, right? The works, the turkey, the stuffing, the cranberry sauce or whatever, the rolls, all this other crazy shit. And what they give you for Browntown is they give you the absolute bare minimum to survive. They give you one bowl of Cheerios for breakfast, and they give you a peanut butter sandwich, 2 slices of bread, peanut butter, and a glass of water for lunch. So we're there. We had been working out since probably 5:30, 6 a.m. It's 11:45 to like 12:30 noon on this holiday. We're soaked in sweat. We're just exhausted, tired, whatever. And they strategically set up a plastic picnic table right next to the kitchen to sit the Browntown kids at for this. And basically what I can describe is that it's a picnic table, staff picnic tables, prison tables, like the granite ones you see on like Lockdown or I'm Scared to Be Here, what is that, Beyond Scared Straight type thing. Yeah. And then, The Office and whatever. And we were sitting there and we were watching all of these people just get this food. I mean, it's not good food, to say the least, but I mean, it's better than what we're getting, and we're hungry right. and tired and exhausted, and we're just getting the smell and the aroma of all of this good food and watching all these other people get it. And we're sitting there and we're just like, what the hell, man? Like, this is bullshit to the absolute max.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is on Christmas, you're saying, right?
Yeah, this was either the 24th or 25th of December.
Wow.
Like, absolutely.
I don't know if you can remember or not, but when the staff were eating, were they staring at you as they were eating? Kind of saying, look, fuckers. I got the good stuff. Oh, I don't know if you remember or not, but...
Yes and no, because it depended on the staff member and who they had a grudge with the student, because favoritism there was huge. I mean, it absolutely was, and they were sadistic in the way that they did it, but they definitely did that,
It sounds like something some of the staff members would do,
Yeah, I mean, if I could remember better, I'm sure we got a couple looks. And, But yeah, I know for a fact though, like I could see their faces and I could remember, and you could tell me their name. I could be like, yeah, this guy did it. But staff members definitely did that to us while we were on there, and they do it again too, because they do it. They did it all the fucking time there, all the time when it came to that.
Now,
But,
one second, Charles Griffey. When you were there, did you have Christmas dinner as well?
Yeah,
When you were going there?
yeah. They fed us good during like on Thanksgiving and on Christmas. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And
So
I wasn't in trouble at the time, so I was able to eat good.
Right.
Yeah.
So that didn't change. Okay.
No, that didn't change. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's just I I get it, but I remember the workouts, dude. Like the for us it was boot camp before they turned into Browntown, but the boot camp workouts like it's nonstop, like just working out, running. Like you don't get to take a break when you want to take a break. You're at their liberty, but just for them to feed you Cheerios, and like peanut butter with bread, like it just doesn't equal. Like you're burning so many calories running, like doing all these things constantly, all workouts, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, being a little of a nutritionist myself, I know what you have to eat and what type of calories you have to intake to be able to be healthy when doing that intensive a workout. I mean,
Right.
when I worked out, I would eat, a breakfast, a first meal, a lunch, a second meal, and then dinner. And they
Right.
were not feeding us the right amount of calories at all. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I'm sure some kids passed out during that or couldn't do it, and they were getting slammed because they simply were just exhausted.
Right.
But it was nuts. It's
Yeah.
it's inhumane to say the least. I mean, but they could technically come back to your parents and say, "Oh, we were feeding them." You know what I mean? And they're gonna believe them over you because
Right.
you're here and they're there, and they're manipulating your parents to believe that this is
Right.
right.
Right. Yeah.
You would think they would want the kids fat, so they wouldn't run. They wouldn't try to escape. Feed them
Yeah.
junk food, feed them all this other stuff. That way they're lazy. They don't want to do anything, and they won't escape basically.
Right.
So you got them, but I guess not. I guess they wanted you guys fit when you guys decided to jump the wall.
Yeah, it's
or malnutritious, because I remember like kids would run away. Like when I was there, like there was a couple kids that tried running away, and like they like imagine if they're malnutritious like that, they're not getting pretty far. Like they're
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
yeah. There was when I was there was a kid that actually successfully escaped during the 4th of July, and I'll get into that. And then there was another kid whose nickname was Prather that tried to run away like his first couple nights, and I'll get into that when I get into like the just shocking parts of my stay there. That was one of them. But I'm gonna get into
Sure.
now basically the daily life thing there. Going into our routine, what the school is, what ACE is, So yeah, so
Cool.
basically the normal day there, depending on the day, Monday through Friday or Saturday. Sometimes we got a Saturday off, but it was rare, and it was usually because the staff members wanted to watch football or something, you know what I mean? Or watch a
Right.
sport during the day. So that was when we got lucky. But anyways, our day consisted of waking up by row in the dorm, and the dorms were basically this giant room in this building that they had made out of I-frame, basically just raw steel, painted over, Bob Barker mattress on it, prison mattress, sheets, blanket, everything. So when you wake up, you immediately fold your bed military style. You fold the corners in, you tuck it, you do that. Then you get your slides out from under your bed, your Bob Barker slides, and you stand at attention with your hands to your fist, and you wait till your row's called. So after that, you go downstairs to the shower bay, and you stand at your shower bay until your row is called, and then you get to brush your teeth, comb your hair, shave with your razor, whatever, and then you get sent off to school in your uniform. And the uniforms identified rank, so it went all the way from brown, orange, which orange is new guy, brown is lowest of the low, you're in trouble, you're in Browntown, boot camp, Then it went yellow, gray, burgundy, and there were 3 ranks of burgundy, but I can't remember the names of them. I wish I did, though, and I wish my buddy did too, who I talked to about it while I was there. and then red shirt, and then blue shirt. And blue shirts were captains, the most trusted of the students. There were probably 8 or 9 of them there.
Okay.
And they had, I guess, special beds or special dorms where they had a closet that they could keep shit in. And Trey was I think Trey was a captain there for a little bit. But when I was there, he was a burgundy shirt. But I remember another kid named Cody who was there, and another kid who had been there forever, who had a captain's bed. But he had been there for since 4th grade. I mean, he had been there forever.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a sad situation,
Yeah.
Because some of those kids were state wards and all that, and they were acting rowdy in the homes of the state, and just their state system was just throwing them around type thing.
Jeez, that's crazy. That kid that's been there since 4th grade, man, that's just,
yeah. I mean, he was just,
God.
he was there, but he was there in not a way that was adjusted to society of the outside world. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, he had
Talk about being conditioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was conditioned to work like a clock there, and it was recollecting on it now because I remember it, talking to my buddy and everything, and our previous recording on here. It was sad. It was really sad, truly. But anyway, we get to shower, wake up, all that. Then we get sent to Bible reading before breakfast, and Bible reading is a half an hour of staring at this Bible. They give you KJV, and you don't read it. You pass cheat notes, you talk, you put your face like this, and you talk to your buddies for a half hour until you get sent off to school. And school, getting into now, was not your typical school, to say the least. Accelerated Christian Education, or ACE, are these packets of newspaper material, books, packets, whatever you want to call them.
Magazines, little magazines almost.
Yeah. And that was your curriculum there. It was very Kim Jong-un-y, North Korean style type of education, to say the least. You would get a packet, you'd open the packet, and it would be, math, English, your electorals, which were all Bible study electorals, studying the Bible, the history of Christianity, whatever, so on. Science, hilarious.
Yeah, the 6-day creation and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then, whatever else you were doing for your language, which you had to take a language there, and it was only Spanish, and that's it.
Yeah, right.
Only Spanish, and you had to take that in the computer lab, and I'll get into that. But so basically, what you would do is you would take your little notebook up to the grading scale, right? So your desks are here in the room, principal's up here, grading things right there next to the principal, and you take an answer booklet and you'd write your wrong answers or your X on right answers in circles, and then a staff member and a green pen would be there to correct it. Now, to say the least, you could cheat your way through so many creative ways there. There were so many ways to get through those things.
Sure.
Yeah, but anyway, getting into where you start off in the curriculum too is very weird. It's not like a typical public school or a private school in the regular education system. You take a placement test, and other kids on the podcast have talked about it, and they will purposefully place you way behind a certain subject. So if you're not very good in math, for me example, when I took my placement test, I was a sophomore going into a sophomore in high school, and they downgraded me to all the way fifth through 7th grade math, what it was called, 5-7 packet 10. The packets were all labeled 10 and then a numeral 41 or whatever. So all my other packets were 11,
Yeah.
1153, normal, I guess, high school level, right? And then
Right.
my math was this complete BS, like 26 behind my normal packets type thing. It was just
Right.
stupid. And they do that to keep you there longer, to milk money out of your parents, because your parents there are their revenue for everything. It's the
Yeah.
lifeblood of that school. So that's another
Seriously.
thing I found out about that, which is just, you know, it's soul crushing to the student, to say the least, that's struggling in school or whatever, and they get sent to this place and they think they're okay, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my god, like what? Like I'm this far behind. I'm gonna be here for how long? I'm gonna have to do this for keep playing this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just debilitating, to say the least.
Well,
And
and
then
I remember too, like when guys would get, some guys would get there and they just don't care, right? They're there and they're just like, F this stupid test. Like, what is the point of this thing? So they don't even try on it, not realizing that that's what's going to help them. The better they do in the test, the sooner they get to leave the school, because the better they'll place with everything. So they take it and they're just like, oh, screw this ain't stupid, whatever. And they don't even try on it. And like there were seniors, people that got there in their senior year that were landing in 6th grade, 5th grade work. And they were there, graduated. So they had to do 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade all within a year in order to graduate and leave or turn 18. Hopefully they turn 18 first and they get to leave, but then they leave without a high school diploma. It's like, you're right. It's a complete gimmick, man. Like
it really is. Yeah.
It's unaccredited.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
I talked to my I remember I talked to my mom about this when I went back to my regular high school, and I had taken a shit ton of electives there because the electives were just super easy, super short packets, and you had to meet a quota or else you would get sent to Browntown. And like going back to what you were saying, if the kids didn't care, didn't do it, they would get sent to the Browntown workouts for a certain amount of days or whatever. And then they would even be more farther behind because they're not in school doing what the school's supposed to be doing. So they just kept the kids there longer. And depending on the favoritism and of the staff and how good you were with them, you could be in Browntown for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks straight of just doing those military workouts. I mean, it was brutal, man.
Yeah.
What they put those kids through there.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say also too, you just made me remember something. I remember also they would do something for, like, say the guys that were getting close to graduating and only had a few paces left to graduate. And they would be able to leave once they graduated. What they would do is they would take those guys on work crews. So they would take them out of school too. And so they couldn't be working on their schoolwork. They would take them out of school and put them on work crews. And then do it weeks on and weeks on weeks. And these guys just have like 2 or 3 paces to finish before they get to go home. But they were like keeping them there by making them do work crews and not letting them finish their schoolwork and stuff.
We had the same situation too with kids there. You could either go to school some weekdays or you can go on work crews.
Yeah.
And they would tell you, this counts as one school day or whatever, right? So the kids' mind that are fucking go out on work crews and think they're getting their paces done, and in reality they weren't. They were just keeping them there longer, and under the manipulation of that. And that was something I didn't know, but that I was told by the person that I was talking about it with these last couple of weeks. He did that, and he found out about that when he went back to his school. So that's something I was going to get into, but that's a good topic you brought up.
Dude, I'm glad you're talking about the school, man, because everyone talks about the abuse, which the abuse is a big thing at the school, but all this other stuff too, the way that they manipulate and milk more money out of the parents by just doing these little things, like getting an extra 2 or 3 months worth of tuition out of people and stuff. It's like, so effed up.
Yeah, and it's sad because those kids just want to get out of there. I mean, they really do. But there were some shocking moments in the school that I'm going to bring up that happened while my buddy was there that I was talking to about, where a staff member lost his complete cool with this one kid, and I'll get into that with my other shocking moments after this. But just to relay into the next bullet point here.
Yeah.
This staff member had been a former student, and what had happened is was talking to this kid. He was absolutely refusing to do it. He was helping him, whatever. But he basically took this kid up when he was sitting down in his chair and picked him up in his chair and then like threw him to the back row of the school, because the schools were these divider rows that were built or whatever in the row,
Right.
and just knocked this kid on his ass. And I guess from what my former classmate was telling me is he was pretty dazed because he hit the back of his head up
Yeah.
against the divider behind him. And then what happened is after he did that, he got sent up to the front of the class next to the principal and stood there as a punishment for half an hour, 45 minutes, still dazed and basically knocked on his ass. And then he got sent to Browntown for 5 days.
Oh my gosh.
So I can't imagine what that kid went through, basically getting a first-degree concussion or something, whatever it's called, a mild one, where you're dazed and seeing stars, and then going out and working with freaking Browntown. I mean,
Yeah.
Nuts.
And
Nuts,
all because he upset a staff member. Like, who knows what he did to upset him? But to your point, like that was a recurring thing there, right? Like the staff member, you're at their mercy. If they're having a shit day, they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, their wife yelled at them, whatever, they're having a bad day. They get to come take it out on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You couldn't stand up for that kid and be like, hey, whoa, leave him alone, man. Like, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Some of the stories I heard from that and the experiences that I had with it, it takes a toll on you. I mean, you still remember it. I'll get into this one where this kid, who I'll leave his name out just to say the least, but it was the most shocking one. One of the most shocking things I've ever seen in my life. We had it was a day where we were getting ready to shower before bed. We were in the shower bay, and I had gotten out of the shower. I was lined up or whatever, and all of a sudden, like, this big commotion's coming from the shower bay, and the shower bay is like these showers with stone walls with a plastic curtain or whatever. So we're all standing up and lying attention, and one of the staff members goes, "Hey, get over here, like right now." And then all of the other staff members who are watching the other rows run over there, and we're standing at attention, and we're like, "What the fuck? What's going on?" And there's this kid like screaming, which I couldn't hear him, but I eventually heard what he was saying because I got the guts to be like, okay, nobody else is going to do it. I'm going to figure out what's going on. Yeah. So I run from my row, which is like second or third row from our lockers, to the part where they have the showers. And this kid had tried to kill himself. I mean, just straight up. No other way to go around it. And what he had did is he had an electric razor, not the one with the other blade that moves side to side, but the ones with the grates that have a spring razor in them. And the spring razors have basically like 6 or 9 discs that are all razor sharp on a tube that move back and forth. This kid had taken apart that part of the razor, and he had done he didn't do it sideways, like with a razor blade, like some people do when they get to that point in their lives, unfortunately. Yeah. He was so demoralized and so to the point of no return that he had the will to end his life so, I guess, viciously determined, the best way I could describe it. He went from the base of his arm right here where it meets the elbow all the way up to his wrist and had cut with those razor blades on both arms in the shower and was just bleeding out. I mean, I saw it, and like the staff member was holding him, like, holding his head up, holding his back up, and he was like, at that point he was like, he had been screaming, "I don't want to die, I don't want to die," but at that point he was so like just pale, like he wasn't screaming, he was like bloody murder, he was just kind of yelling like, It was just like, fuck. And then the only thing they did to this kid to help him with those injuries is the next morning when we're at Bible reading again, they had field bandaged him like in Saving Private Ryan, where they just took him up to med bay or the doctor point of that school and just field bandaged his arms. And that's all they...
Then there's no paramedics. There's no the hospital. There's no. This kid sliced open his arms, was bleeding everywhere, and
yeah, I mean he was just so messed up from that, and then coming back he didn't. I mean, it was just like, God, man, you know. Like, you don't give this kid any medical attention. He probably sliced it, had to have cut an artery somewhere. I mean, that's 8 inches here, 8 inches here,
right.
A good foot of your body. And all they did was just wrap him up in bandages. And then he had to go through the normal motions the next day. I mean, it was just...
He could have cut nerves, tendons. I mean, he could have cut anything,
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no way, they're not medically, I don't know what the word is, capable of checking that, seeing like, oh my gosh, that's just one witnessing that, and then like seeing that, but then like him having, so he was so distraught that he was willing to do that because of his situation, and then nothing changed. Like nothing changed. He went right back into the same thing that made him want to commit suicide and kill himself. The next morning, he's waking up in the same situation with the same people. And I don't know how it ended up, but I remember when kids tried to kill themselves when I was there, they got punished for it. Like they were punished, and like it wasn't like they were counseled and taken care of, and like, are you okay? Like, what can we do to help you? It was like, why would you do that? How could you do that? Like you're in trouble. You're in Browntown. You're like, your shoes are taken away. Like they took away the silverware and stuff. So I mean,
he when I was talking to my buddy about it, he did get sent to Browntown from doing that, but they gave him 1 day to recover from that.
So they wrapped him with the I love your description of Private Ryan, like, Saving Private Ryan bandages, gave him a day to do some Wolverine healing, right? So he's, back to normal, and then like put him to doing Browntown, like push-ups, running, ladders, all that kind of stuff, like punishing him because he tried to kill himself. Like there was no counseling, there was no comforting, no nothing. It was like you're punished for trying to kill yourself type of thing. Like, oh man, I hope that kid's okay now, man. Because
I from our last time recording this, I thought that he was a burgundy rank, and so burgundy ranks could wear like these Letterman jackets they had there or whatever, and so I thought, from my memory, that he was just bandaged and wrapped up. But talking to my former classmate about it, he remembers because has a better memory about it than I do, because he was there for a little longer and he had some things happen to him, and all that. But he had a better memory of that than I did, because the only thing I could remember was just seeing this kid's arms just like sliced open. You know what I mean? But
Jesus.
I mean, they sent him to that, man. They sent him to that workout when he lost so much freaking blood.
Yeah.
Cut himself.
They should have sent him to the hospital.
Yeah.
And they should have gotten him into therapy or something.
Yeah, our therapy there was going to see a staff member that was a priest in the schoolroom in these little glass, not really therapy, more like...
Well, we're talking real therapists here.
Yeah,
right.
Not the fake therapists that they are turned out to be.
Not spies to be sent there to tell kids about, you're my counselor, I'm going to tell you what a staff member did to me, and then that counselor go to the staff member, then have those kids punished for telling that staff member about it, because that did happen for sure.
And another thing too is I doubt, I don't know, maybe but I doubt they let his parents know either. You know what I mean? Maybe they did. Maybe they said, hey, your son tried to kill himself, and like he bled everywhere, almost died. But I since, because what parent in the right mind would hear that their son tried to kill themselves at this boarding school that they're, and say, hey, I'm going to keep them there afterwards and not come check on them, not do anything, ask about medical help or anything like that,
What parent in the right mind would send the kid to that school?
Yeah. I mean, exactly.
Their marketing is really good, man. Like they did such a good job with the marketing, making that place look good to parents and stuff. Anyways, but yeah, dude, it's oh my God, dude. Like that's
it's something that I can just never forget. Just never. I mean, you can't.
Right.
Right. But yeah, another thing that was really traumatic too, for me at least, my most traumatic experience there is that right before summer, so like late spring, I had been sent to a Browntown workout, and this was my worst Browntown workout ever. So I was with my other student, or my other classmate student there, me, a couple of other people, can't remember their names, but it was me, him, and Julio was leading it. And we got up, did our freaking bowl of cereal bullshit or whatever. The food wasn't there good either. I'll get into the one time, where I opened up a box of mini wheats and there was a freaking maggot in there. No joking, mealworm. And they wouldn't give me another bowl of cereal. Swear to God, I can't lie about that. But anyway, we got sent to this Browntown workout where you had to put on your Bob Barker slides and you were going to go outside and run. And the roads that they had inside this compound, their ranch, were just gravel roads. So you're in these shitty slide shoes that 9 times out of 10 the toes are broken off. So you're just running in your socks basically because half the shoe's broken.
Yeah.
And we were running, and he told me, and he recollected me about it. And we were running through this pond, in and out of the pond, and back up a hill, through the road again, and then back down into the pond, like military style.
Yeah.
And this pond that they had was just dug with an excavator, or whatever it was. And there were sharp cement rocks just freaking everywhere in there. And you're running in these Bob Barker slides that offer you zero protection. Your socks, and that's it. It's in the heat of Missouri summer. You're coming in and out of the water. You have no food in you. And I can just remember the cuts on my feet that I still have from that. And I'm sure the other kids have it too. But I remember telling my student about that, like he is to the point of giving up. Like, and if I knew then and there that if he gave up, they're gonna push this kid even more. And this kid wasn't in shape. You know what I mean? He wasn't athletic at all. He was pudgy, kind of a little doughy boy, to say the least, unfortunately. But I remember yelling at him, like, I stopped what I was doing and I got down with him and I helped him up the hill for the last part. Like, just telling him, like, yelling at him, come on, man. Like, we can do this. We got one more in us. You know what I mean?
Right.
And Julio saw this and made us run more on the gravel road. And I had gotten to the point where I was so angry and so just hate driven that I was running just on bitterness alone, to where I had ran past Julio, because Julio couldn't fucking run for shit. He only worked out his upper body. The dude took like 3/4 of an inch every time he stepped. So I had run past him, and then he yells at me that, what are you doing ahead of me? You're supposed to be in single file row. And then he looks at everybody else and goes, get down and do push-ups till I tell you to stop, on this gravel road. After we had been running through this freaking muddy freaking rock pond, then up a hill to the gravel roads again.
Yeah.
It was just, you couldn't do anything about it. You just couldn't. And you couldn't tell your parents about it, because this was another talking point I had, where they monitor your mail and phone calls, so you can't say anything about it, or else they cut you off, or they send your letter back saying you can't send this out, which, by the way, can't read anybody else's mail. It's a federal crime.
Right.
Especially a minor, But it was just, just the shit that they made kids do there, the way they punished kids there too for not doing it.
Yeah.
This other kid who I'll get into, like we talked about before, his name was Barnell. Nobody talked to him because the story was he, touched his brother or whatever, so he was like a pedo or whatever, you know what I mean? But I hung out with him because I was smart and didn't stick around the kids that were just causing a ruckus because I didn't want to get any more trouble. But a story that happened with this kid is that the staff members found out about it, believed it or whatever. Staff members didn't like him because the students didn't like him. So they sent him into the interrogation room, which was basically just a padded room. And they beat this kid so bad that whole side of his face was swollen. His eye was purple and blue. His eyebrow and lips were split open from the swelling because they had punched him and beat him so many times on the alleged allegation that he touched his brother. It's just coming back and looking at the notes that I put down, and everything. It's just fucking infuriating what these did to these kids there.
It's crazy. It's like, because they believed what supposedly happened beforehand, and they just randomly decided, like, okay, we're just gonna beat the shit out of this kid now because of that thing. Like he didn't even do anything wrong at the school. It was something he did that got him potentially sent there, and they're like, yeah, like, let's go beat the shit out of this kid. Like, literally beat him. Like, he's coming out with like swollen up face and everything like that, like legit beating. It's not just a restraint where they're holding him down, like it sounds like they actually beat the shit out of him. And
this is coming from him, because I sat down and talked with this kid at lunch or whatever.
Right.
It's just like this superstitious cult-like people do this, and they're so far fucking gone in their minds that they think that they're on this holy righteous crusade to solve the world one kid at a time. It's nuts, man. It's nuts. Dude,
they're fucking crazy, man. Like, it's something bad, and other ones are just using it as a means of, they're just sick and they just want to abuse kids or whatever. Like, on that note, you and I spoke the other day, right? Afterwards, and we're talking, I was sharing some of the stuff that's happening with Agape. Put lighten the mood a little bit and put a smile on your face, hopefully. Brian Clemenson right now is going, like, basically they're working on putting him on the national registry for where you can't be around kids. And like he just filed a motion for them to hold off for a few days to do that, but basically he's being put on that so where he can't be around children anymore and work around kids anymore because so anyways, the justice is coming. All those guys that doing that, I don't know who those staff members were that beat the shit out of that kid, but
I think I told you before when you told me about this, about some other things. I just looked at you and smiled and said, God works in mysterious ways. You know what I mean?
The thing is, maybe Brian Clemenson was touching him.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. I don't.
I mean, they obviously believe stuff on no evidence. I mean, if they had been given evidence saying that, he touched his brother or whatever, I can see, not liking him, but for someone to say, "Oh yeah, he's in here because he touched his brother," and they automatically believe it,
right?
Yeah, whatever.
Right. It just, but that's the thing, is like use it as an excuse. Like they look for reasons, to like to screw with you, basically. So like someone like that, like they're in their mind, they justified taking this kid and beating the crap out of him because what they heard supposedly, like, oh my gosh, it's just, and the thing that blows my mind. This was 8 months. You weren't at the school for 10 years. You weren't there for 6, 5, whatever. You were there for 8 months, right?
Yeah, 8 months.
Yeah, 8 months. All this, like, it happened in 8 months' time. Like, it's crazy. It's just, it's not crazy because I've heard so many of these stories, but still, like, to a normal person listening to this, they're just like, wait, like, hold, like, man, this must be over years and years. You're like, no, this is 8 months. And you probably have hours and hours and hours of stories just from those 8 months that are impacting you all these almost 10 years later, right? Like,
seriously. I mean, coming up on, like, I think, what is it, 2022, 2016, 15, 7 6 years, 6.5,
Yeah.
give or take, you know?
Dude.
And the way that they go about it too is just the most disgusting part, because the way that they have their website set up, where they have this visiting room area where it's all nice and leather couchy and da 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 to make your
Really?
parents think you're living in freaking luxury. Yeah, it's on their
I've never
website.
heard of this.
It's a new room they built for it while I was there. It had like a mini fridge full of sodas, and it's a nice mini fridge and shit, and leather couches, and I think a pool table and a couple arcade games, and was your visitation area
What?
to where it was your visit on campus with your parents with a staff member there. So you couldn't get any alone time with your parents to visit them to tell them, you know, this place is fucking Arkham Asylum, man. Because if they did, somehow, some way, the staff members can manipulate your parents to say, you know, we need to take him out. He's acting up. He's showing tendencies, something or other.
Wow, dude! I've never heard of this visit. Maybe someone else has mentioned it. I don't know. Jason, have you heard of this before?
It's on their website, and I've been to it, and it's a room to the right of the cafeteria next to the fish pond area, and it's like a little shack shed, and it's called the visiting room right before you hit the main ranch area where their animals are and staff members' houses are. Because this was something that I got into with my buddy talking to him about him that I had completely forgotten about, and it's another manipulation thing they did there while I was there.
Totally. Oh yeah. It's like, hey, look, it's beautiful here. It's amazing. We give them arcade games. We give them all these things to do. And my parents are like, wow, this place is like a freaking resort.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll walk you around. Well, I had my visit there. I was talking to it with my mom about it. Oh yeah. Well, let's go see the animals. Let's go see the camel and the water buffalo and the horses and look at our little Noah's Ark out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Look at, we're so down to earth Christian people. Don't you just love it? Da, 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 fucking bullshit. Sorry, I'm not trying to cuss, but
no, it's all good, man. Jason will probably bleep it all out. Jason does not like cussing.
No, I'm not going to bleep it out.
Isn't that fucking right, Jason? You hate cussing?
Fuck those guys, man.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've been Barbara. Barbara. James.
Barbara,
She's been putting stuff on there about some pastors now that have been arrested. I think one was for child pornography, the other was for touching kids or something. I'm like,
yeah.
And they're getting on this kid here for a rumor,
right? Right. Well,
talk about living in glass houses,
Yeah, there's another thing that came out in the news recently. There's a guy that got caught with it was 215 counts of child porn or something like that, and there was okay, no one, everyone's just it was another pastor that got caught doing that. No one didn't really bat too much of an eye at it, but then all of a sudden someone's like, wait a second. That guy used to work at Agape, and they went back and looked, and sure enough, this dude was a staff member at Agape boarding school. It's just, anyways. But dude, that's just it's crazy.
I remember another staff member there. His name was Brother Omar. He was an Indian guy who had his wife there, who was the principal. And I was thinking back with my buddy, telling him about it. And one day we were sitting on a Saturday, and he was telling me about himself, and he had a 4.0 and all this other crazy shit or whatever, and that's why he's the principal here doing God's work. So I called him out on his bullshit, and I just looked at him back from it, and I said, dude, what are you fucking doing here? And you get in trouble for cussing, but I looked at him and I said that, and he just kind of looked around like this, thinking of an answer, then he looked at me and went, I don't know.
Yeah.
But my buddy I was talking about was sitting right next to me, and I was his guide. So he was a yellow shirt, and I was his burgundy guide. And yellow shirts and burgundy guides always had to be, attached to the hip type thing.
Yep.
But that was something I said to a staff member there. I was like, this is, you're full of shit, man. There's no way you had a 4.0 GPA from some university and you're at a principal at this bumfuck boarding school in the middle of nowhere. Come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. That or maybe they did do that and they got caught freaking abusing kids, or they have some kind of record or something like that and they can't get a job anywhere. And,
I don't know. I know there's probably a YouTube video out there of him doing some inauguration video from way back or whatever of him doing that. I think there's one out there from what I remember looking back on it with my buddy. I don't know if you could find it on YouTube again. It's probably on their main channel. But it was just I don't know what the hell happened to that guy, but whatever. You know what I mean?
I went to that channel, and I spent like 2 minutes there. I lost interest. So
Yeah, it's
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 so boring.
The
So
Agape
boring.
channel.
Yes.
low level propaganda. You know, watched one spy movie, watched one national documentary on North Korea, and thought we got this in the bag, man. Game, set, match. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but let me look.
I tell you, Roloff is still doing his damage, even though he's been dead
I
for,
know.
40 years.
Right. It's crazy, man. It's so, and it's not going to stop. Like even with
Oh,
Agape
it's gonna
getting
stop.
shut down, all that stuff. Like it. I mean, there's always going to be kooks out there that are just like going to like be like, oh wait, if we this system worked before, it gave us uncontrolled access to children to do what we want to them. You know, like hopefully it stops, but there's just so many of them out there right now, and like there's so many that just no one knows about that are just
Sure.
operating and doing their thing.
One closes down, 3 of them open. I mean, it's
Yeah.
and they usually go into states that don't check them. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, 'cause I bet you with Agape shutting down, like, or whenever that does happen, all those people are just going to go branch off and think they could do it themselves and go open their own, because that's already happened so many times in the past. People leaving Agape to start their own programs.
Believe it or not, I looked into it, and another staff member there named Brother Jackson is trying to open up a boarding school in Missouri, a couple miles away from Agape, because he left right after I did, because that was the time period to where the child protective services were kind of getting on their scent. When I was there, they had contraband phone, and there was this kid named Vlad, Russian kid, had no front teeth, small. They used to call him Mighty Mouse because he was, always up and pain in the ass and had a chip on his shoulder. But he told me that the FBI, some student had called the FBI now that they were looking into this place, and that was like the first step of it. But after a couple months, after that happened and I had left, Brother Jackson had left too. It took all of his family and moved somewhere else out in Missouri, I guess with Julio, whatever his staff member picks were, and started his own boarding thing. It's like, look, man, you know what I mean? It's right there.
Yeah.
It's happening again.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you said that one guy that wants to open up his own boarding school. I'm sure he probably has good intentions, and they usually have good intentions at first.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But as they say, power corrupts.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This place.
It'll only be a matter of time before he starts adopting Agape, principles.
Well, you can't, you've been there for so long, you can't work it out of you. It's just going to come back. It's just, it's your MO. It's your modus operandi. It's just going to come back to you. You know what I mean?
It already went to shit, by the way. Like, just so you know, like, so he got in with the doctor, Dr. Schmock, or whatever. I think Schmock was his name, was the doctor for Agape.
Should have been Dr. Jellyfinger.
Yeah,
but
right.
Anyway, go ahead.
So Jackson got in with him, the Agape's doctor, and they somehow, some way got together, and like Jackson was running his boarding school off of property, and then he moved the school to this doctor's mansion that he had, right? And the next thing you know, like this kid comes forward, that's an ex-Agape student or ex-Agape or whatever, like comes forward about how this doctor's been like sexually molesting him and stuff like that, and like he had the kid move into his a mansion with him, and with the kid's mom moved there too, and he was like grooming this kid, like it's all this, and then other kids came forward saying the doctors sexually abused him too, and since they're related to Jackson's boarding school that he opened up, like they shut the whole thing down. Like it's like, come on, like how many times does this have to happen? How many like to before like they do some shit about it, but no, it's Missouri. They're taking the side of the school and the this and that, and
it's politics, man. It's politics.
Yeah, they have the money. The kids don't have the money. The kids that are in the programs that are getting abused, they don't have money to do shit.
Those poor kids there, dude, don't have anything. They have their own intuition and their own wit and their own way of how to try and get out of it. And some kids make it like I did, and some kids, don't.
They don't. Yeah, I was one watching a TikTok the other day, and it was really sad. It was like some girl from a troubled teen program, and she was just saying, I forget what the audio was, but it was along the lines of, just like some of us made it out like you're saying, but some of us didn't, and or some of us did, and like they took their lives, and it was just like this long list that they had of just kids that have left programs and like committed suicide out like after they left, and it was just a long scrolling list. And it was just like, it's like, but these places work, they turn you around for Jesus and they set your life right and all this other kind of shit. And it's like, oh man.
Yeah, when I found out about Hammer, when I typed in like Agape boarding school on YouTube or whatever, because I had just remembered it, and whenever I remember it, I usually look it up and see if anything's happened about it,
Right.
And I found Trey in this podcast, and Trey was talking about how a kid who I went there with, who was named Joe Riviera, Trey had told Hammer that this kid killed himself. I had no idea,
Sure.
but it's
Yeah.
just, and it was after he had gone to boarding school, but it's like, hearing that for the first time, I was shocked,
Yeah.
like I knew this kid. I talked to this kid,
Yeah.
I was right next to him in Shower Bay for a while,
Yeah.
Now he's dead. It's like
Yeah.
fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
Another soul saved by Agape.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's dude, and it's terrible, man. But thank you. Like, honestly, like, I know it's a lot to like talk about this shit and like rehash it in your brain, like we talked about last time, but it's also like so therapeutic getting it out there, and like, and you have no idea like who's going to watch this and like what it's going to do for them, like hearing you talk about all this stuff and that you're struggling with it and having issues with it still, like it helps us, that the rest of us that are still having issues with it, almost like be okay that we're having issues with it. Because it's like, you see all these people and you think like, man, like everyone else is living life doing good, but here I am like suffering with this shit still. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm fucked up or whatever, but then seeing you being all emotional and dealing with this stuff still, like it even tells me that, because I'm still dealing with it and going through it. I'm like, oh damn, that's right. It's okay. It's okay that I'm not, like, there's that song that's it's okay not to be okay or whatever it is. Like,
Yeah, like before I talked to you after the podcast and this thing and everything, forever I was just like, this is the only person who's going to know is me and the other students who were there, and nobody else is ever going to know about this,
Right.
And just living with that was just took a chunk out of you. Takes a chunk out of you.
Podcast gets a lot of views. I mean, I got a lot of comments from people saying, I know that guy, or I know this guy, this girl.
Yeah.
I went with them to Agape or whatever. So people are watching. People are hearing the message.
Yeah. I'm sure Trey doesn't remember me, but I remembered him because I remember him. He had another guy he had another guy he was friends with that I talked to a little bit there too. He lives in Florida now. I haven't talked to him in forever. I was talking to another guy about my whole experience there, but he's doing okay. And the other kid that I was talking to just had a kid, and so they're doing all right. But some of these other guys, man, can't pull through it, like Joe.
Yeah. Well, and some of these guys too, like we had a guy from the time that from the time that I was there. Dude, feels so bad. Like, he married with kids and everything, dude. Like, and he ended up just eventually taking his life. Like what, almost 20 years later, because of the stuff, not dealing with it. I don't know what all was going on, but it's just, it's just. That's why I think this is so important, dude. Like talking and communicating and, and supporting each other. And like, that's like, I remember when Jason first started this whole thing and was like reaching out to us and getting it going. Like, I didn't realize the impact that it was going to have and how beneficial it's going to be just talking about it, and then just hearing from so many guys that have done it, like, and like how much it's helped them just have that moment and of being believed, and listened to, right? Like, so, it's cool. It takes a lot of bravery.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of bravery to do what you're doing too, man. Like to finally come forward, because you're about to put this on YouTube, right? Like,
I mean,
anyone to watch and see you being vulnerable, like going through it and explaining it, like, so it takes a lot, dude. So hats off to you. But
it's nice that people are going to hear about this and they're going to believe you, because it's not just you against the staff,
right.
against their system. It's you with other people who have been through it, like yourself, and everyone here, and it's credible that way. You know, it adds credibility to the stories. It's not just some wayward kid making shit up to try and get out of a boarding school that's trying to put him right. It really happened. It really happened.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, 100%. But because there's nothing you benefit from this. That's the thing. I also too I like to drive home with these. Like when we're talking about this stuff, is like there's no benefit from this. There's nothing. It's not like you're getting a $10,000 cash payout for going on the Hammer podcast.
Yeah, I'm just here so I don't get fired type thing. You know what I mean? I just want my check.
I'm still waiting on my payment, Jason.
The check is on its way. It's in the mail. It's in the mail.
I'm expecting it, by the way. It's about 2 weeks late from the last session we had.
I think with James, it's like 3 years late. But thanks, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Like I said, this podcast, people have other podcasts have recorded some of the stuff that we have on the channel and sent it off. Even the newspaper for Missouri.
Yeah,
has
really,
that's what got the ball rolling, I believe. All these podcasts that are bringing up Agape. Yeah, they're starting to. And then I think the newspaper sent it to the Senate or whoever. Yeah, Missouri Senate or whoever's doing this, Justice. I don't know.
Yeah,
but so I think these podcasts are really making a impact. It's slow rolling, but eventually, it's going to happen.
People just like him, like randomly will come and just like, oh man, what's up with Agape? I remember going there all those years later, and they search it and they find it, and
that's how I found. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or Simon, right? Jason, my buddy Simon, a guy from the UK, found these podcasts randomly. I don't even know how he came across it, but he found them, and then ended up messaging me 3 years ago after he watched my interview on here. It was just like, hey man, you don't know me, but I just want to let you know that I hear you and I believe you and I believe your story, and you're getting. I support you all the way from over here in the UK, and we started messaging back and forth, and we've been literally every day. I'd say almost every day for the past 3 years, just messaging, saying what's up, whatever, and having that support system, dude. So you might have people reach out to you from this and just try to connect with you. So just
I've been getting comments. I've been getting comments from people from Sweden. I mean, all over the world.
Wow.
So yeah, it's. I mean, it's not going to impact Agape, but as far as the other countries, but people are listening.
Yeah.
So.
The way it's affected me for a long time now is that I have a lying issue, because I used to just lie there all the time to keep the staff members off my back, and trust issues with people,
Right.
I still do it to this day. It's not even big lies either. It's little white lies just to get stupid shit off my back. You know what I mean? I still struggle with it, and it's from this place, just from those 8 months. So
it's crazy.
Still working on it. But going on here helps. Appreciate everything you guys do. You guys are awesome, to say the least. Unsung heroes for sure.
Well, for me and my screen, Jason's this way, so I'm pointing at Jason. It's mainly Jason.
Oh yeah.
Well, you're down here.
Oh, I am. So I need to point up. Okay. On my screen, you're this way, so I'm not going to point up. Okay. But no, seriously,
And Charles is right here. He's
really
right.
Okay. So it's just Jason.
Yeah, you're kind of that way. He's kind of that way, and you made a wrong turn at Albuquerque. You got to go back down that way. You know what I mean?
But for everybody watching, subscribe to the channel. That way you can get the notification when another video comes up. Share it with your friends. I mean, share it with other people. That way it gets around. Like the video, because when you like the video, it shows that people are watching it, and it gets the ranks it goes up in the ranks. So
algorithms.
But don't leave, guys. Okay. So everybody, like I said, thanks for watching the Hammer Podcast. I thank Charles for giving his story again. I'm sorry, that's another story. But and James, you're a gem, my friend. Thanks for being on here.
Yeah, Seriously.
Support,
And,
man. Seriously.
adding some commentary to it. That's good. Like I said, if you want to be on the Hammer podcast, I'll leave all the links in the description. There's a website you can go to and a number. Just text me what date you want, and we'll get you on. Usually it's at 6:00 p.m. Central Standard Time because I'm in Northeast. So, and Griffey over there is in the West.
Yeah,
Lucky.
bro.
You still wearing those hookah necklaces?
Yeah. No.
But anyway, thanks
That's
for thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Everybody, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. We'll see you in the next podcast.